What is your shadow side? Part 1. The concept of the shadow self is a Carl Jung original, although I don't care much for the background, so that concludes your history lesson. You're free to Google it. Distilled gold or bust, baby. The shadow is essentially what we, as humans, deny or reject in ourselves. The bad or good qualities that we revile or we relish. The shadow can be what doesn't gain us acceptance, parts of ourselves we were told were nasty, or parts that got us the kind of attention we despise. And so we unceremoniously stuffed them into the shadow. But it's also what we idealize in others, as if it's something that we're unable to access ourselves. This process is largely unconscious, as our ego automatically shoves what's undesirable into the shadow and highlights what is desirable to us about ourselves. And that might manifest in wildly different ways for each person, and it might not actually make any real sense logically what you find desirable or what feels safe or good to you and what doesn't. So why would we push traits that we admire in others into our shadow? Well, we may have been shamed, humiliated, chastised, or put in other dangerous feeling situations as a result of those traits. Like if you have a fear of standing out, it's probably because something negative happened in your past as a result. And this is your personality's coping strategy. Like perhaps a pack of envious girls kicked you out of your friend group, or your parent made you feel like shit, like you were too much, or you were behaving badly, or being a brat. When our shadow is activated by a person or a situation, it can show up as triggers, bursts of reactivity or projections. We can feel immobilized by terror, envy, shame, or anger. It can literally paralyze you, often pulsating out of your chest, rising up to your face in red hot heat. You go into fight or flight. Or sometimes it can just happen as an illogically reactive outburst or hostile outburst or a rude comment, getting overly annoyed at someone, or some situation that really didn't warrant your reaction. But it's often where our principles, ego, and self-righteous side shows up, and our personality type, but I'll get into that later. The absolutely non-negotiable terrain that you firmly plant your feet in every single day. This is where the shadow lurks. You might encounter someone out in the wild, socially or at work, and they rub you the wrong way. You end up stewing on what a piece of shit they are for hours, and how you can't believe someone can behave in such an abhorrent way. However, it's possible they're simply reflecting your shadow back at you. The shadow is what you deny about yourself, or simply deny yourself and project onto others. Another way of looking at the shadow is your repressed id, the urges, desires, and impulses, both libidinal and destructive, and positive. And you stifle and deny expression. And the more you repress these urges and desires, the bigger your shadow gets. Part 2 incoming. If you want to work with me, cheat codes to thematrix.com, or sign up for the source course to learn more about the shadow and how you can use it.